Welcome, everyone. We are joined today by a very special guest, Mr. Ben, known as bencb789. How are you, my friend?
I'm awesome, man. Life is good. Thanks for having me.
Well, congrats on your course, which we've talked about many times, and as you can see on the screen, Raise Your Edge. And more importantly, as of late, some very nice scores. Tell us a little bit what's been going on. You've been having some nice results this week.
Yeah, lately the past weeks there were quite some nice results, especially the past 5, 6 months have been quite disappointing because you always come like final two tables or you reach the final table and then you end up eighth place, ninth place, and just nothing is running in your favor. And yeah, the past weeks I've been winning 3 or 4 tournaments. I think a 1K progressive knockout on party for roughly 100K. The 500 high roller for I think 30 or 40K. On 888, I also won the high roller tournament, and then some also deep runs in the high roller series. So yeah, it was very fresh. I won the big 215 last week. No man, that feels really great. If then also you start winning again, and because at some point it can be very frustrating and you really start doubting about your final table game. But I was studying constantly and reviewing a lot of spots, and also pumping out the content on YouTube. It kind of like encourages me to work on my game, because I always have to check the spots. I have to make sure I'm creating good content, and it always keeps me sharp.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're sharp, maybe too sharp. You do a lot of work, a lot of content, and that's great for sure. It's always nice to get those wins. It's hard to win, even when you get seconds, thirds.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It's a big score, but poker tournaments are very different than cash games. It's very rare that you actually get to take it down, and get to take down several in a row is always nice, and definitely a testament to the work that you have done with your program, which we do for our study. And I know Lex, Jamie, Kevin, a lot of other people using this as well, some high-level streamers, and I think it's becoming pretty familiar with people. But again, we do have it on the screen here, and at the bottom, if you are interested in liking testing it out, that is a code for you. So we'll have that on the banners, and then we'll go ahead and scroll through PokerTracker, which is I think you use Hold'em Manager. We use PokerTracker, using a tool here that's nice for even these replay purposes. So this is we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this tournament, and we will stop at kind of relevant hands, and I'll let you sort of break it down, because my play was made, so obviously I did what I thought was right, and then we can kind of go over it and see how you would approach some of these hands, and we'll just kind of scroll through here. This is a turbo, so let me just preface this by saying it was a 109 rebuy tournament, but it was a turbo series going on PokerStars. This was, I believe, mid-March, so I'm not sure the exact date, but we did put up the highlights of this. So if you enjoy this video, this is going to be a little more longer, in-depth replay of the hands. If you want the bells and whistles and the Twitch feed, the highlights, that's fun to watch as well. This is going to be a little more of an educational one, so maybe check both out and get a good feel. The other one's fairly short. This will probably be closer to an hour, we'll see. And again, we're using the PokerTracker replayer. We're going to speed through and just give you an idea. There were 726 entrants, and it was 32,446 to first. And as we get towards the end, we'll talk a little bit about ICM and stuff, but just to give you guys an idea of what kind of tournament this was, there was 817 rebuys, 334 add-ons, so good prize pool, having 32,000 up top. So let's pick up the action. We're just kind of going to go. I mean, this is early on stages of a rebuy. Rebuy tournament is a little different format than the normal tournaments, so I don't know. Maybe we can pick up a couple of these early on hands. Maybe there's some interesting stuff. But I honestly don't remember for a while, at least the beginning hands. So just kind of go through. I mean, a lot of these, not going to be much going on. Do you have anything you want to say about rebuy format tournaments, maybe in the rebuy tournament online? Is there any kind of advice you might give, or something that people might not think about that is interesting?
Yeah, while you skip through, I can definitely give an advice, and I would call it it's literally a magic pill for rebuy tournaments. It's just playing solid and tight. It's literally a magic pill, because there's so many people just too loose. It's a rebuy, and they know they can rebuy and re-enter, so they will have, or let's say the population will have, way too loose ranges in certain spots. So the only adaptation I would make is, in certain spots, I'm just going to bluff catch a little bit wider And because people are going to bluff more, you should also value bet thinner, because you're going to get bluff catch more frequently. Okay, 7's here, the first interesting spot. I'm just so much afraid of his 4x open raise, to be honest. What were your thoughts in this spot when he 4x is pre? What do you put him on?
Yeah, I think let's see. He also had a short stack, kind of. Didn't have a full, not a short stack, but did not have a full stack. So maybe when he makes it 1,000 there, he's got 63, 70. This is probably one to pass. And speaking to what you're saying, I'm on the more cautious side in general, but this is a turbo $100 rebuy. So I think my thought process was kind of like I'm okay to gamble for a little bit. And as your point, that's maybe not necessarily the best way to do it because too many people are doing that. So, I don't think he has 6s or 5s. So, he's basically repping like ace, king, ace, queen suited or probably a bigger pair than mine. So this might have been a good spot to pass.
No, I would just call because you can literally define his range very well towards 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks. These kind of hands that play very poor post flop, a lot of overcards, ace, king, ace, queen. So you just want to get it in pre-flop as fast as possible. So I would just call and play post-flop because then we're going to save much more money on these kind of ace-high, king-high board textures where then we are dead against his range and we can just simply check forward. So I would just call pre-flop. But we definitely have to call because it's just too strong to pass.
I think this is... Okay, so here we're a little deeper, closer to 10K stacks. I have 8K. I raise, and the button 3 bets...
Yeah. I think calling is fine. I think like the 4-bet doesn't really make any sense to me because then just jam and make him fold his ace-5 suited. Now he has to peel with his suited aces just because the price is too good. Okay. But these spots, I really like your style, and this is something a lot of people should really look after or just simply copy it. You play very cautiously in many spots, which is great. I think in tournaments it's the way to go. It's just you don't need to take those marginal spots, right? But here you take it. I would just call. I wouldn't say it's a huge punt because it's button versus hijack, king queen. You block a lot of value hands, and it's like it's a really strong hand. Even though you face a 3-bet, he can have queen jack suited, 10-9 suited, queen 9 suited, king 8 suited. So a bunch of hands that you clearly dominate. And you're flipping against jacks, 10s, 9s. Of course, you're crushed against queens plus. But I would just call, keep his range wide, play post flop, man. Just use your just leverage your post flop edge, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I do feel my game. Like I've talked to a couple of my good friends in poker as well about this because my image definitely is perceived, I think in general, probably on Twitch now, I'm playing all my hands face up. I'd imagine a lot of people are familiar with my game or watch at some degree or have an idea or have friends that know and talk. So, and especially in the live higher stakes, 25K, 100Ks, 10Ks that I play, I am known as a more cautious player, which isn't, I've definitely made some big adjustments in my game in the last 6 months with Raise Your Edge, no question about it as well. But I think finding ways, I think a misconception is if people think I'm tight, pre-flop isn't necessarily the spot to do this because ranges are still ranges, so I mean it's one thing, but I think for me the biggest advantage is to go post-flop and then maybe pick some spots to be more aggressive.
Exactly.
So I think that's an interesting point as well. And this hand maybe, again,
I think you're not going to gain so much more fold equity pre-flop simply because people will have their ranges, they will defend close to GTO, they will get a good price if you 3-bet, 4-bet, and if they really, as you say, perceive you as cautious, maybe tight, maybe in certain spots too passive, they are even going to defend wider against your 3-bets and 4-bets because they tell themselves, I have an edge, and then they will have more hands, and then that means you have less fold equity pre-flop. So I would avoid a pre-flop, but I think, as you just mentioned, it's a great idea to apply more pressure post flop.
Yeah,
man, just
for sure.
Jam this flop here. Yeah.
So
it goes you literally try to tell the story of having aces, right?
Yeah. That's basically what I was repping.
Leeching it in, like milking him. I like it.
And even bet small, pick it up. A very good flop, obviously, for the king queen having a heart.
But if he jams, you have to call.
Here we go, king 10 off. Pretty clear open in my mind in this position. And I kind of think I had decided I was going to call the 4K stack. And the big blind, I was like, I didn't really like. I mean, these are kind of awkward stack sizes, but for this. So I do min raise, and then we see, I mean, it's pretty standard to raise here in the.
Yeah.
And then.
But I would fold against big blind.
King 10, this hand. I've lost the 2 biggest pots in my life in tournaments with this hand. It does. I feel like it has power. It's a little questionable here for sure. I think we did go ahead and look them up. And I think I just just make top boat. So but
I think it's clearly minus a V. Versus range, you're not getting the right price to call it off.
All right, well, a little run good for the flow show. We definitely were not running so well in the Turbo Series, so we do pick up one there. So we're up to 23K now. Pretty good stack. Only one guy covered. Do you think opening here, Jack 9 suited with our stack? Seems fine. Pretty big flop. We decide to bet. I mean, I think we're just trying to get some money in here.
I would make it even smaller. It's nothing really. You really want to leech him in with very low equity hands. I would just bet 500, like a 6, something like king 8, king 9 with the king and clubs where he has extremely little equity, or maybe just make something fancy. 10-9 and diamonds, queen 10 and diamonds. I mean, those hands have very, very little equity against your hand. And against an ace, you're going to lose the money anyway on the flop, so it doesn't make any difference.
Or just get there. What do you mean? I mean, it's not like we're bluffing. We're ready to get there. We're running good. You've seen it.
But on the flop, you're currently losing. You're behind. So, but of course, you're going to get there on the turn or river.
Yes.
No questions asked. But I would make it smaller.
Team Pro,
like 600, 500. Just make it very small.
And
you're gonna get it in all in by the river anyway if you hit a good hand, or if you improve to a flush or 2 pair trips.
Let me just ask you also with that statement. I agree with you. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, what about being balanced? If someone might be asking, well, what about if you have queen 10 off or pocket fives or some hands? So how, would you just be with your whole range here on this board and this stack and everything? Are you just going to bet like 550?
You can absolutely do it with your entire range because he's defending from the big blind. He will have hands like 9-8 suited, king blue suited, queen 5 suited. So those hands that are not connecting with that board, he has to fold also against the $500 bet. So the only hands that, let's say, which is a disadvantage, are hands like ace king that clearly needs protection, but he's calling his flush draws anyway. So the thing is, yes, you get more money from those, but you're going to have more hands that did not hit on that flop. Plus, if you really have a monster, pair plus flush draw, 2 pair trips, you want to leech him in. So there are more merits, more benefits for applying a rather small sizing. And more often, we're going to have hands like kings, queens, 10s, king, queen, king 10, queen 10, 10-9, maybe 9-8 suited, pocket 4s, pocket 5s, and those are clearly more hands than our value hands. And then you want to pick a sizing that gives us the best price possible. But it also makes sense in that particular spot because big blind has such a wide range he's defending with, and he cannot continue against our small sizing.
Right, we just have such a range advantage.
Yeah, we have a range advantage, exactly.
Okay, so interesting. So again, this is I just want to point out why this poker is so intricate. And if you're watching for the first time, or if you've been doing some of the course, like it really is. A lot of times when you can go back in a tournament and say, "Oh, I ran poorly," or "I didn't run well," but all these type of things, everything matters. Here in this spot, like with this particular hand, we were gonna bet and go with it, but maybe betting 500 or 540 versus 924, like we might have been able to get this guy stacked. Maybe he has 6-4 off or 6-5 suited, or in calls, or he has a floaty, gets it creative, and we end up stacking him or winning him more chips. So I think that's a good point too. It's just like there's so many parts of the game that like you can look back and say, "Oh, I ran poorly," but a lot of times it can be as small a thing as a bet size in 1 or 2 different spots or pots could make the difference between you gaining chips or not. So I think it's just important to pay attention to all the details and realize every hand, every street, it matters. So that's a good point.
100%.
The kings, look at this first real hand. Let's see. what happens here. 24K, so we're off to a fast start. Really only one guy with chips, and we see a 5x committing raise, basically an all-in.
Yeah.
I mean, just
you're really leeching, man. You're milking them.
wow.
Wow.
I guess should I just check then if I'm gonna flat and lead? But I don't know.
Yeah, you should just check or just jam pre. I mean, like he could have maybe sitting on 10-9 suited. It's just he wants to let it look stronger, and now he's just folding the flop. You definitely want to check the flop.
All right, so aces. Let's play it. You saw it already? It went through?
Yep.
All right, so 300, 600. We see a raise.
I think Coliseo was also playing high roller tournaments. He's I'm not sure if I'm confusing him with someone.
Right. I don't recognize this name, to be honest, but
maybe I'm confusing him with another Coliseo, but there's a Coliseo that also plays high stakes tournaments online.
Okay, so we have the hand aces, and we flat pre-flop. What do you think with the big blind short? Do you like this? Do you like?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so then the flop comes, and pretty good flop. We have the heart, queen 9-5. We decide to check, and it does check through. How do you feel about the flop check?
I think it's all right. Yeah, pretty standard.
Okay, turn 7 of clubs. I decide to lead out. I just, at some point we got to start betting, even though this is a interesting card. We bet 1,800, so I don't know, I guess like 40% pot.
Yeah.
And
I like it a lot.
And then we get called, go to a river. So the 10 of hearts here, I mean, so the thing is, I don't think he has a flush. We have the nut flush draw. He would probably be betting his, king jack of hearts, the hands he's opening that are flushes. I mean, I can't imagine he's checking back. Also, jack 10, I would expect him to be betting. Well, I guess that would be. I mean, we beat jack 10, but I just kind of think like, what does he have? Like, I'm not really worried about being beat here, other than the king jack. So, which I think he would bet in my mind. I thought he would bet a gut shot on the flop. So, I just decided to pile it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 60% pot left. What do you want to do? You have aces, you block the nut flush. He can have like a slow play, queen jack, king queen. He can have king 10, jack 10 for sure. Like it's like I'm only afraid of 10s, 7s. He could potentially maybe have king queen, queen jack in hearts, but man, we gotta have to bet it here.
Yep. So we do go ahead and shove it, and he does call with the king 10. So I'm a little surprised he didn't bet the flop. But
I think it makes a lot of sense because it just has so much equity and it's a quite connected board picture. And you have to understand when poker becomes short, it turns into more of a protection game. Because let's say you're 100 big blinds deep, you bet this hand and you face a check raise. You can float once, right? Nut gut shot, backdoor flush draw, one overcard. So you get the right price, and also with the implied odds, you have to call on the flop. But now if small and big blind check jams on you, you have to fold. And from a strategical standpoint, in these situations, when you have a draw that cannot bet call, you always have to check it back. So let's say if he has 4-3 in hearts, for whatever reason he's opening it, he's also supposed to check it back and not bet. Because if he bets and face a jam, he has to fold.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's, again, why it's very important to pay attention to everyone's stack size and every situation, every board, because it does matter. And so, good point. So, yeah, I mean, king jack for sure. That was like the one hand I thought was possible, even though I think I was thinking at the time he might be betting his gutter. But for those, that was definitely a hand I was like, okay, unless he has king jack or somehow tens. But, I just didn't want to check and let him check back. So we shove, and a good result there. And he does have the king of hearts. So, I think for his call, though, what do you think about his call?
Horrible. I mean, you barely have any natural bluffs. Like, what can you have? You have to turn a hand like jack 10 into a bluff.
Exactly.
But I think it has
a 10.
You have, like, you're flatting from the small blind, so your range is very narrow. You have aces, maybe occasional kings. You have king, queen, queen, jack, queen 10 suited. You can have maybe a hand like ace 8 suited where you're not sure whether to flat pre or not. It's just like, what can you bluff here? It's like, It's King 10, King Jack. He's blocking King 10. He's splitting against King 10. So I really don't like this call. I think it's just
I think
spewing it off.
he may have thought like.
And you see, even with your tight image, you're getting paid out in these spots. So I don't think people are paying so much attention to it, to be honest.
Right. All right. Well, good hand for us. That did catapult us up to 32,000. We go 3x here. What do you think? Just keep it, raise smaller. I don't know.
I think against this big blind, who's very, 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 very good regular. You basically, I mean, here with this deck size, with less than 15 big blinds, you can always raise call, pocket fours and better. And so you want to get it in against small blind and big blind. So big blind, you don't want the big blind to call with a hand like 9-8 off. So I really like the 3x here in this particular spot. It makes a lot of sense. Against a good opponent that is short, you don't want him to defend wide because he can also play stop and go on you, right? He calls and then he just jams many flops up front, or he check jams a lot on you. So I really like the 3x here.
Yeah, and that was because I rarely ever bet raise 3x. So I think that was sort of my reasoning. I do know he's a good player. Also, yeah, just this guy's got a big. I just didn't want to mess around. Just put a little more meat on this raise. So I think that's also important to realize that you don't always have to do the same thing for your raises. There's different situations where you might want to limp or raise or whatnot. So yeah, we do raise 3x. It worked out. We pick it up. Just kind of get going here. Ace King, and again the blinds are getting big. So I think we're moving here. 350, 700. We see an all in. Pretty. What do you think? Like looking stack sizes, there's really no one. Wow. Got weird.
I would just jam. I mean, I really don't want Hijack to level himself into like now going over the top with pocket eights. You don't want him to think having fold equity. Not with ace king. You can do it with like jacks or queens or kings, like hands with ace king, tens. I would just jam myself. Like or tens also makes a lot of sense to just re-raise, because if Baltic has jacks or queens, he's gonna call anyway. But if he has eights or nines, our hand really benefits from him getting it in with a smaller pair. And ace king, ace queen, I also don't think he's ever folding.
Okay. All right. Well, we end up getting in a spot where there's a few all-ins here. I mean, a lot of all-ins actually, and this was definitely a very fortunate hand. It looks like we got ace king, ace queen, ace eight. We were in good shape, but the tens versus a good player, we do end up winning the flip. And I mean, there weren't many aces left, so that was certainly a great result. I mean, we, Rome, yeah. So this was a nice king to find. Definitely a good run out, big pot. Situationally, that did catapult us up to a really nice spot, and we're up to 51K, running well there. Let's be nice. Let's see. Let's go take a look at the queen 10. Just keep an eye on the blinds here. I mean, we're literally like fast forwarding a few hands, and we see the blinds just moving up. So I mean, again, it's a super fast tournament. We get the queen 10 suited under the gun. I think with our stack, pretty. I mean, clear open.
It seems like with all the short stack, it seems close to the bubble to me. They really try to fold themselves into the money. If it's bubble, I would just 3-bet pre-flop here the 10-4 off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I really don't like the call. I think you can just apply a lot of pressure.
This?
Just 3-bet, yeah. Like if it's really close to the bubble, I mean there's so many short stakes.
So you just make
3-bet to 7K.
Oh, even that much bigger than.
Yeah, 3. I mean, what is he going to do? Like he cannot even continue with like pocket sevens. Just yes, he will know we have a ton of bluffs, but if he's wrong, like, it's just going to be so expensive for him.
Yeah, especially.
I mean, not necessarily with 10-4 off, but you can do it extremely wide.
Right, like
I would just fold though. Like either 3-bet or fold.
Okay, yeah, I get it. That makes a lot of sense too. This is definitely, yeah, it's one of those hands. It's just really one of the maybe few not to defend. I like that too. I think when I'm playing my best, I am mixing in with my worst hands in these spots. I agree. So, let's see. Just gave up. Okay. Yeah, interesting point. I like that. Ace 10, 25K. The blinds are 7, 1400. So, again, a Turbo Series is going to be a lot of, the stacks get shorter quicker. So we raise and get called. It comes 669, get checked to us. And I don't know what I did, but this is Paul's guard 1. He's also a reg. I think he streams too. And these are the spots like, I think like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, maybe check back, ace 10, that I probably, I mean, I don't know. I'm not even sure what I did. What would you do here? I think I could do either.
I would just bet small, like 2K, 2.5K. Again, same with your entire range. And this makes, as you can see now in this spot, compared to the ace jack 6 board, which we had earlier, where you had the second pair and the flush draw, like most of the time you're not going to connect with this board texture here unless you have an overpair, or ace 9, maybe 9-8 suited. Okay. So you want to pick a sizing that is small. I also don't mind checking back here. Like,
right. I think it's one of those hands like a king queen, queen jack. You would bet. You would bet those like queen 10, your broadways.
Yeah, because we have more backdoor equity, and also we can second barrel a decent amount of turns, attack his king high floats and ace high floats. But when we have an ace or king ourselves, it makes it just less likely that he is having ace high or king high. So you don't want to block his folding range on the turn. And again, you're going to have much more cards where you will pick up additional equity.
So if with this scenario, if we do end up betting, which I'm not positive what we chose, because I think it is we have one of those spots you could kind of do either. If you did bet and he raises, you would fold. But if you had like 10s or aces here, you would bet, and if he raised, you would go with it.
Well, it really depends if he's check raising a 9. But I think so. It's just, I mean, if we start bet folding over pairs, we're basically bet folding our entire range. Right. And he can just raise everything. Just from a theoretical standpoint, you just have to go broke with your over pairs.
Yeah. Also,
and don't worry, you're not going to lose any money, because if he's under bluffing, you're going to make more money with your bluffs. So it's like a balance. Yes, let's say in case he really under bluffs the spot and he barely has any bluffs, so and every single time he raises he has a 6. That's great, because yes, we're gonna lose our money with overpairs against a 6, but since he is not bluffing enough, we're gonna gain more EV when we are bluffing, because he's check raising so little. So you always have to see it from both sides of the coin. Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. We're also fairly shallow. It's like if it's one thing if we had 100K, he has 100K. It's a little, the board, there's just not that many.
The problem also is because actually that's an excellent spot and also an excellent question. I get this many times where people are like, yeah, I have jacks, he raises me, he seemed to be passive. It's like, the thing is though, if he has the right frequencies of bluffing, you're owning yourself. Like, you can even raise call a hand like ace 9. I mean, stack to pot ratio is around 2.8 to 1, and like, you have an overpair. It's goddamn strong. So you're just owning yourself if you're not very certain. I mean, if you're very, very certain that your opponent is very passive, then you can just fold your overpairs. But when you're not certain, just go with it. And in case he's really passive, it's not a spot where you're going to lose money, simply because with your bluffs, you're going to make more money. It's that easy.
Makes a lot of sense. Also, yeah, like if you had jacks here and you bet, like what is he going to do with 8-9? Like, is he with his stack? If we bet, 3,500 or something, like someone might just with 8-9. Like, there's not a lot of good turn cards, and if we're bluffing, it's like, I guess if you had 8-9, what would you do? You would just call? Maybe, I guess there's still enough to just call, but it's like there's so many bad turns. So someone with the 9 may just check raise.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
right,
absolutely.
See. We opt to check, and the 3 comes on the turn. He gets a check. Now, as played, would you like to just continue checking, hope we get to a favorable river? Or
I think no, we should be should have the best hand very often. I would just bet small, like 3K, protect our hand.
Okay.
We can even value bet the river now. Yeah. It's like he barely is going to have. Our range is so ace-high heavy, he should clearly bet an 8, a 3, a 4, a 9. maybe in case he was trapping. Like, he cannot just expect to now start betting king, queen, king, jack, or these kind of hands or ace highs.
When you
He's
say
just
when you value bet the river, though, what are we hoping to get called by? A weaker ace?
ace
Somehow?
5, ace 7. Like, he has ace 7, ace 8, ace 5,
Right.
ace deuce, king queens, king jacks, king tens. Like, ace 10 is the perfect hand, or ace jack, because he's not going to have ace king, ace queen himself, which will always check call the river. And he's also not having deuces or fives. Like, deuces, he can just value bet himself. He can also just lead the turn with deuces just to protect his hand against our Broadway and ace high heavy range.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
That is like the theoretical solution of this spot.
We get a button raise. It looks like we have 68 hands on the player. Tighter numbers, but it's not a very big sample anyway. But
it's also like you probably went through the entire phase of the bubble with him, and then of course that's why he has such tight stats.
Exactly. So that's important with the stats too, for people to realize, like, different tournaments.
You should always know where the stats are coming from. And let's say the same for when you're on the final table and there's a big stack and he has been aggressive all the time, and then he loses a pot and he's mid stack or short stack, he will not play the same style. So then you can basically forget about the stats, or basically forgetting about how he was playing the past 50 or 100 hands, because now he's in a completely different situation.
Great point. So, with all that being said, in my mind, this is like a pretty clear spot. Like, we're in the button. We have...
That's a snap, man. That's like, I would break my fingers probably so fast I would hit on my mouse and click all in.
Yeah, it's a fist pump all in, of course. Like, I mean, 3s and 4s are a pretty clear, shove.
Any pair, you can,
king
for
10.
less than 20 bigs, any ace, you can profitably rejam.
Right. So, yeah. So, we do put it in standard hand, and unfortunate for Witali here, who did wake up with aces on the button and we ended up getting there, but again, not to be results oriented. Maybe that's also, people look at that sometimes and they just look at the hand and what happened.
Yeah.
So here we have king queen. We see white 1 2 3, a very good reg, and Dairy Poker, I know. So they're at our table, and here we got a raise, but this guy's all in for less, and king queen off versus his open. So what do you think here?
I will make it, this is a spot, make it completely dependent on his raise first win from under the gun. If he is cruising around somewhere like 18% from under the gun, like, wow, this T is very loose. Yeah, I would just jam here. Like, this is also a spot where you can 3-bet forward, because this is a hand, if he jams, he has ace king, he has ace queen, kings, queens, and you're just flipping against jacks and tens, you're crushed against his jamming range. So here, re-raising to like 10k and folding to a jam would be very, very sexy.
Unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure I didn't take that line. Let's see what I did.
I think jamming is fine. I think also against his loose under the gun range, a call is also fine, simply because our raw equity means always the likelihood of winning the hand from preflop to the showdown is high enough. So, and here, if he's opening hands like Jack 10 suited, and it probably even has like Queen Jack off, King Jack off, so so way to lose, I think we get the right price to call here.
Okay. Interesting. So, and again, this is where you would be a good spot to look at Tracker. He also has 21 bigs, which is a very vulnerable stack for people to open off of. So this is a good, especially when we have 40 blinds. Like you said, it's a good time to kind of attack, put some pressure, and make them play for their stack. So this is, again, we opened up the stats there. This is PokerTracker.
I really don't mind in general to fold here, because king queen off for 20 bigs against an under the gun range is also not so nice. So I really like the call here, but I think the most powerful play would have been a non-committing 3-bet.
So we do have a player that's all in on the side, so we're going to get to see this hand no matter what happens, but comes 8-9-3, and we do go check. The ace comes on the turn. See, we check, he checks, jack on the river. I mean, we have pretty bad hand here for what his raising range is, and
yeah, I like to give up. He can easily check back an ace another time. Yeah.
He did have the king jack. King queen suited, very pretty hand. We're at 42k. Blinds are up to 1k, 2k. So again, this player Oops. And he is opening under the gun again. And what do you think about the flat here? 20 blinds under the gun. But as we know now and as we've discussed, this is something, again, we're playing 6-7 tables. It's a little bit, this is where I struggle, is really like, when I'm playing a lot of tables, I'm usually not looking at this stuff, but I could be a little better at my HUDs and stuff. So, I mean, we did get to go to Showdown. We saw it's actually the exact same hand, basically, but we're suited now. And now we have 20 blinds instead of 40.
Yeah. It's a hand you can rejam. I wouldn't 3-bet though, but it would probably be profitable. But I think flatting or jamming are the best options here. 20 bigs, king queen suited against a guy that open raises relatively loose. I would like to see a stab here on the flop. Now, if you consider what I was saying earlier, that let's say if we have queen 10, jack 10, we rather want to check back, because if under the gun check jams, he will mostly sit on queens, kings, aces. So our jack 10, our overcards are pretty much never live. So, and for that reason, what is our betting range then? And we want to pick hands that still have some sort of playability on turns. Here with king, queen on any jack, 10, diamonds, overcards. But we have an easy bet fold and we're not wasting so much equity, right? Bet folding jack 10, like we're folding so much equity. It's literally a waste of equity. So jack 10 we want to check back, queen 10 we want to check back. So betting hands like king queen suited or king jack suited with backdoor, additionally our pocket 8s, pocket 9s, our traps with aces, ace 9 suited, maybe 10-9 suited, those kind of hands, like this is the strategy you want to deploy in that spot. Then your range is balanced, and also you're not wasting any equity if you were bet folding.
Yeah, interesting. Actually, I did say this is almost the exact same hand, except we're actually on the button, not in the small blind. So
yeah,
king queen suited.
And you could just bet 5-6K here.
I remember this hand from the highlight video. This was a very bizarre hand, actually, and I was on my cell phone during this hand, and I had a lot going on, and looking back on this hand, I'm not a fan of this hand. So I mean, this is one of the best turn cards there is for us, in terms of equity at least. So it is a very connected board now, though. But we do turn a flush draw and a gut shot straight draw. So it goes check. Oh no, he leads. What are your thoughts here?
Call. With this big bet, he's polarizing himself towards random bluffs, like maybe king jack, ace jack, which we then also gonna, like, we can make them fold on the river, or a very strong hand, which I highly doubt he's going to fold. Like a set, aces, queen jack, and if we jam, we barely have fold equity. So yeah, I just call, and we have a very disguised hand. Let's say if the jack gets there, or even if the queen gets there, we can consider turning our hand into a bluff. The diamond is of course nuts, or second nuts.
Let me ask you this: like you mentioned king jack, ace jack. Like,
yeah.
Well, king jack we're beating, ace jack we're not. Let's say that we call and the river is a brick, a stone cold brick, and he checks. Do you jam then, or are you just figure you're beating king jack, you're losing to ace jack, but like that's
I'm probably betting he could also have a hand like sevens, or maybe ace queen. He could have something like ace 4 in diamonds, ace 5 in diamonds, ace 7 in diamonds, a random ace queen. So I'm probably betting, yeah.
Okay. Well, this hand is one of those ones that when your teacher, and you raise your head, this is a bizarre one. So I'm just gonna preface that. Happy to show it, guys. I'm happy to show a strange hand and take responsibility, because we don't always get it right, that's for sure. So we do decide kind of like raise commit here, which, I don't know. I just felt like that we were gonna get some folds. We have jack queen. We could have, I don't know. I just decided to raise here against this guy, and let's see. I think Derry gets out of the way. He ends up calling, I believe. And then, I mean, so out of that, would you rather just see a jam or a flat, or is this just like you would just never do this play with this hand?
It's really bizarre, because I wouldn't expect him calling, and I think he very often, like ace jack in diamonds makes a lot of sense, ace 7 in diamonds makes a lot of sense, maybe ace 9 in diamonds, ace 4 in diamonds. I think, or he's trapping with queen jack, but I really think if he has aces or kings, he would just go for it. He will either folds or just jams.
That's why, I mean, my play is bizarre, but I think he re-bizarred us. He re-raised the bizarreness and called. When he called, I actually, you can go back and look at this highlight video. Fast forward, it's like 9 or 10 minutes or something in the video, and like people, like I literally am on the cell phone for like 5 minutes, like talking. This is just, this is not good mindset. I was not focused, and this is definitely not a great. This is a very strange hand. Well, here is the scenario. Like if we had just flatted, right? Now,
yeah.
And he checks, we should go for the bluff on this river.
Yeah.
But as played, it's basically all of our chips, and it's a really strange spot. So he checks. I mean, I guess I can't even ask you what would you do because you would never be in this spot. But as played to this spot, what do you do? I mean, what do you beat? You beat King Jack, which is possible, but that's about it.
But
right?
without the flush draw, when you block the King Jack and diamonds, so he's not having King Jack, but he can have Ace Jack and diamonds. So let's approach it from a combinatoric standpoint. Ace Jack and diamonds, Ace 7 and diamonds, Ace 9 and diamonds, Ace 4 diamonds, and that's already quite a bit. And if you bet 14K into a pot of 60K, I think it just needs to work around 23% of the time. So he has to have around 12 calling hands, which I think, given that line, is going to be hard. And I think if he has a set or an overpay, he rips it on the. It's just like Queen Jack suited, right? Now it's 9-handed, like he's never opening Queen Jack off. Pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 8s. 3, 6, 9. So yeah, it's around 10, 11, 12. Depends on also, maybe he's betting some on the flop as well. I also think 10s would bet on the flop. So if he splits his range here and there, I think he has like 6, 7 combos of sets. Queen Jack and clubs, Queen Jack and what else? Queen Jack and clubs, Queen Jack and hearts, Queen Jack and spades. It's as you can see, it's hard to get to those 12 hands. And also, if he has Queen Jack, he's probably also more inclined to just jam it on the turn. So I truly believe that he very often is sitting on those very strong draws that have you beat. So for that reason, I would just jam myself.
So
make him fold a nut flush draw or Ace Jack and diamonds.
I agree. This is where I think this is one area I need to improve in my game, because sometimes I just think like, oh, what? Like I'm pretty good at ranging. You know, in my mind, I think he has Ace Jack. Like you said, a lot of those hands, because
he can also have Ace 6 and diamonds.
He doesn't have sets. He's probably just going to get it in on the turn. I mean, you know, like why wouldn't you look at that point? It's not like he's going to call fold, and he might as well get charged the draw. So I just think like sometimes I level myself in this spot. I'm like, oh, he's never going to fold Ace 4 of diamonds. He's never going to fold Ace 9 of diamonds, or maybe Ace Jack of diamonds would be like the hand he might fold. Like, yeah, I guess he would fold. But like, I just feel like at this point, the stack to pot ratio, I guess it is for his life. I just think I look at that the wrong way. I just think, oh, he's going to call me with Ace 9 or Queen, you know. I guess that's also too. It's like you said, pre-flop though. What hands is he raising and getting to the river with? So this was
sorry, go ahead.
Super bizarre, and I just remember being on my phone, like shaking my head, like knowing this is like an absolute disaster of a hand. What just happened? What am I doing? Here I am on Twitch live streaming, and this is what happened. Do you want to guess what he had?
Ace Jack of diamonds.
No, this was the tournament we ran well in. Remember, boom. Well,
King
delayed
Jack.
boom.
Wow.
So.
Okay, I mean, like he looks solid. He should never have this hand in his range. Never. It's like even against your draws, he's dead. He's splitting. You can have already Queen Jack.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty. I was shocked. I was like. It was really shocking. You should go afterward and just take a peek at this video and fast forward to this moment, because it's funny. Like, I'm literally on my phone the whole time, like shaking my head, and then knuckle the river like in disgust. That's literally the only hand I beat. I don't think there's another hand I beat. Even 6, 7 of diamonds or something that I probably wouldn't play like that. He wouldn't play it as like that. Like, I just can't beat any hand. There's not one hand, I don't think.
6, 7 would be a long straight.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if there's not one hand. It's actually King Jack.
No, I'm just. kidding, because 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like very, very long straight.
Yeah, he's got the.
But anyway, like if he has king jack, then he probably even has ace jack and clubs, and then the jam would be much better.
All right. Well, we got very fortunate because again, 3 combos that we beat. That's it.
And he actually should never have those hands in his, or never this hand in his range.
2 kings. 107K. There's our buddy Gift Myra, who's been crushing lately. Streams as well. And this was a bizarre hand. So he shoves here. We have 2 kings. We happily call. And look at what he showed up with. A little surprised here.
9-5 suited.
Jack deuce off, I believe.
Wow.
If I remember.
Okay, that's definitely not good.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. Here, these are just range stuff. This is pretty simple call. I mean, this is for 11 blinds. I mean, what you call even... I mean, we're calling like queen 10.
Yeah, queen jack, queen 10, king 8, often better. Like, he's jamming any king, any ace, any suited queen, anything like 7-6 suited, 10-9 off. So you're performing good enough against those hands. And with aces, kings, he might also trap occasionally. So you can preclude the top of his range from
yeah, this is a little bit of adversity. I mean, we're chip leading the table, and that's a big swing to go to 110 to 190. So we've been running well, obviously, in a few spots, but that was a significant pot, and a 4 on the river, pretty dirty. And we see a raise from under the gun. I think we just jam. He has 27 blinds, maybe 2. Maybe we could 3-bet this.
Yeah,
instead.
I would just bet to 27K.
And
I don't mind jamming the off-suited ace king, but the suited ace king just plays so much so much better in a post flop, in a 3-bet pot.
And we will. Oh, maybe this too again could just.
Yeah, that's too much.
Just induce raise, try to get skill modder to shove or.
Yeah.
King 9 suited, we raise, pick it up. Anything on the sizing there? You think it's okay to like min?
I think it's alright.
Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. So getting some hands here. Down the stretch, we do min raise. Gandalf calls. We flop top pair. And what do you think about sizing here? It's like third pot.
Yeah, again, I would just bet 9K. Third, like really 1/3 pot, but not a big thing.
All right, so we do get a check jam, easy call, kind of top of our range here. We have top, and we see a tough one there. He does turn the gut shot. So, I even said it on my stream. I thought, it's like that's the type of hand he's going to have, open-endeds, gut shots. He's a good player, a little aggressive, and, unfortunate spot there to lose that hand and even improve the trips. So, again, another big pot. Blind, the ante's 875, but blinds are big, and we see Dairy Poker's all in for less. Badias with the raise, so now this is a little bit interesting. I mean, he's basically irrelevant here. It's almost like he's opening the button.
Yeah, you can 3-bet, you can call, both totally fine.
Okay, we decide to ship it.
So that's a bit deep. 30 bigs, I would just call or 3-bet.
All right, well, we got a little excited, and we raised.
But it's definitely profitable. Like, it's like an open raise, and he will open raise 40% of hands, so there's going to be enough raise folds in his range that it makes the jam profitable. But it's always also a matter of what is the most profitable line, and yeah.
Okay, so we open the ace-4 suited, and
good fold.
Yeah, Badias 3-bets us, get out of the way, and we're gonna open the jack-queen suited under the gun, get flatted by a 16 blind stack. What goes through your mind here?
Traps, of course. Hands like ace-jack suited, maybe ace-10 suited, king-jack suited. So very Broadway suited aces heavy, where he's not certain whether to rejam, but for him it feels too strong to fold, so he's calling. So not necessarily only the traps. Yeah.
Well, the board's paired. We flop a queen-high flush draw. And I think a couple things were going through my mind here, what to do. I definitely traps, of course, off of that sub-20 blind flat stack. Definitely looks strong. I mean, we do flop pretty well. I mean, we do flop okay. It's not the greatest flop, but we do have diamonds. So what do you think here? Check, and then...
Yeah, I would just check, because if we bet he jams, this would be, yeah, horrible. And we still have the option to go for delayed bluff. We don't necessarily need to pick or to bet here. Wow. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. So
alarm bell should go on. Like, I really don't mind folding here right away. It's just, the thing is, he will jam the turn so often, so we're not gonna see both cards, and then we just don't get the right price. I think it's just king queen, king jack too often. Like, even with if he could even do it with ace 10 and diamonds, where he's just committing himself. So I would just fold here.
Man. Shit, this is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I check jammed here, which I don't like at all. Exactly, I think he has king X's. Like, what is he doing with 9s or 10s, like, or 8s? He's probably just shoving those pre, and would he really just like on this board bet like that? So
no.
Yeah, I think this was one that we could put up. We could chalk into the misplayed hands and little run good. This is definitely not the best play. That we just kind of chucked it in there, and exactly your first hands. bencb, I mean, Ben has not seen this, for the record, guys. He's just calling exact hands. You know, he's dialed in, and that was for sure a mistake. 362. So let's see the stacks behind. We see a raise from the dais. I think we just get out of the way.
No, I think you can definitely go for a 3-bet and just get it in against him. He will have enough for. So basically, playing it as a rejam. You can rejam. These late positions, button versus cutoff versus hijack, with less than 20 big blinds, you can rejam pretty much any pair. Of course, I wouldn't rejam. I would just technically rejam. That means just 3-bet to 70k just to be committed against him, and then get out of the way of the blinds wake up with a big hand.
Okay, we get a raise, a pretty standard defend. Interesting flop. Pretty good flop for our hand. So we flop open-ended. Check, start the check.
Yep.
So we check. He bets. We're very deep. I mean,
yeah, I like to raise here with this hand.
And well,
kaboom.
When you're running hot, you just call. So now we're open-ended straight flush, make a straight. Baird's board. Baird's board is.
I don't mind leading, because, like, besides queen 10 and queen 8 and king queen, you barely have any bluffs. So if you call your entire range, like, now you also improve to straights. I think it's a card, especially also we have more 9x than he has. It's definitely a card that gives us more equity with our entire range than for him, because he shouldn't have so many 10-8s. So for that reason, I really would like to see a small lead, like 40, 50k. I'm afraid he's going to check back too often with over pairs, and we might lose some value.
Well, we do check back, and not the most exciting river, even though likely our hand's good, and maybe I do.
Wow, you can bet way bigger.
Just go bigger.
Like you can even check calling deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, right? So you really have a lot of bluffs. You still have queen 10, queen 8. So I would definitely bet 70k. I don't expect him to fold an ace high hand.
Okay, you're saying 10-8. You're saying, yeah, queen, all the bluffs I have, and now my pairs that I have to turn into a bluff.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Sizing too small. Ace queen off for under the gun. We raise it up. But Dias does flat. So this is kind of similar to that ace 10 hand with the board paired, blind flatting, 3-3-9. You know, this is a little different than ace 10. It's even stronger. The ace queen, ace king here. Would you like a check?
No, I would just bet small, like 30k. 3s shouldn't be so many in his range. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, he's supposed to lead a lot of hands now on the turn. It's like all his pairs basically, because our range is so ace queen, ace king, ace jack heavy, and he just has a clear value bet against those, and also protection bet.
Okay, as played, I don't think I can fold, even though it's sort of dicey.
No.
So I call, and we do get to a river. It's a 10. He checks. I mean,
yeah, we just check back.
Yeah, he's got some ace 4, ace 5s, 4 5s, 4, so some other stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
See. And he does have the 9, so fair enough. But you still, like, I just bet the flop small. He's probably just going to call. Then we're going to go check.
Yeah.
Check.
He's even bet calling, or sorry, check calling with, you know, strong king queens, king jacks with backdoors. Jack 10, 10 8 type of hands, Ace 4, Ace 5, like Ace 10, Ace Jack with backdoors. So you have a lot of equity against his calling range as well.
All right, King Jack, Bedias with the open and the cutoff or on the button.
Typical hand, you can go either ways. Make it always dependent on who's in the blinds. Big blind seems tight so far, so I prefer a call. If the big blind is a very good player, I lean more towards 3-betting those hands here from the button.
This I know. This is from the Raise Your Edge. This is one of my
Absolutely,
favorite videos. That's true. Or if they're a fish, flat, right?
Flat, yeah.
Yeah. So tighter fish, tighter. I don't like the word fish. Tighter recreational. Yeah. But we we call, and I think King Jack is one of the better 3-bet candidates, isn't it? King Jack off.
This is a spot where it really depends on you construct your ranges. I don't want to find an excuse, but it is how it is. Like, it's really like this when you 3-bet all those 8-7 suited, 7-6 suited, 9-8 suited type of hands, and then also additionally you 3-bet King Jack off, King Queen off, like Queen Jack off. You're too bluff heavy. So you want to be very selective. Maybe pick a few suited connectors. Pick a few of those cans like King Jack off. You can also 3-bet it 50% of the time. You flat 50% of the time. This is where you need to put in some work. Get an Equilab tool. You build the range, and then you want to have, let's say, value to bluff ratio of 60-40 or 70-30, somewhat in that region. Also depends on your sizing. So if you 4-bet, you want to continue against this 4-bet around 60% of the time, and you 3-bet fold 30-40% of the time. This is how you then develop and construct your ranges in these spots. And then you can always adjust in-game. If there is a weaker player in the blinds, then you start calling more hands. Because let's say if you have 10-9 suited and it would be one of your 3-bet hands, you rather want to have flat and also have the less experienced players involved, right? So this is how an approach, how you solve those spots.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we do flat, pretty meek flop, and he goes ahead and bets very small. Again, Bedias, very strong reg from Brazil, and he also, again, bet sizing. This is important. Like, what, he doesn't need to bet big. This is like a range. He has aces. He has ace king.
Yeah.
So he just, it's a wet. There's a dry board. Ace 8 deuce, about as dry as it gets. He just bets small. He gets to fold out all my. I think that's actually why I decided to flat. I think I got a little creative here. I do flat because I think he is going to be betting like 100% here. But what do you think? Is this a little too?
Yeah, it's not too bad, to be honest. I think it's all right. I would really like to look at his c-bet stat to see how frequently he's betting, but I think it's all right. I think people are definitely c-betting a bit too much on that board texture, so it can't be too bad.
His c-betting is, let's see, flop. C-bet flop, 17 out of 20.
Oh, that's a lot, 85%. Yeah, no, I really like the float.
So we do call. And again, I think he thinks versus me, he does check. So now there's 200 in the middle. I get to the turn. He slows down. And trying to think, same kind of thing. I think maybe to bet here, not maybe like 50K or 60K.
Yeah, 60K, just, yeah.
That's the right answer. That's what I think I should do. I don't remember what I do. I don't know if I might even have bet a lot. Oh, a little too much, probably.
That's all right. It's not a big thing.
We get called. So this is the bad news. This is where he could have ace 10, like some weak aces that he just bets, and now he's just kind of got us in the cage. So I think we just give up when he calls here.
Yeah.
And he does have the ace 10. This kind of makes sense. So here we open queen 10 off. Again, a tighter player. Not a lot of sample, though. 22 hands, almost irrelevant. But he flats out a small blind. We have the queen 10 off. We're 30 blinds deep. We do have a heart. So that helps like his flatting range. I think that's now we don't have to worry about like queen jack, queen 10 suited, jack 10 of hearts, those type of hands. So we do bet and get called. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Turn. Now we do hit our hand. We make a pair. He checks, and we decide to check.
Yeah, pretty standard.
River ace. Not great, but I don't know how many ace high he's flatting on the flop there, unless he has like ace jack or something. I don't know.
Pretty much any ace high flush draw, ace 9, ace 3. But yeah, I think we have enough showdown value if he checks like his 8s, 10s. Yeah.
King 10 off. So it's all right. We lose that one. Just did not take long to get to the final table. Here's Queen King again. You can see the ante's up to 32.50. We're under the gun. Ooh, we just fold. Maybe.
I don't mind the fold. I would raise though. It's a really great hand for this deck size. We block a lot of their rejamming ranges. So with this deck size, it would be a good open raise.
But with 13 blinds to raise.
Yeah, like to 50, 60k. You can raise fold. It looks very strong. You also want to raise queens, kings, aces, even jacks. You still want to raise. So
Ace 9, we're at 250, so we're getting short. And I believe, and we see a raise here. Is this? No, yeah, it's just an open raise, so we do fold.
Yeah, against a recreational player that is 3xing here, I don't mind the fold. You're going to be often against ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, so.
You know, we're down to 8 blinds. It is a turbo, a lot of short stacks, but we see a shove, pretty easy range here with 8
very
blinds.
standard call. Yeah.
Very standard stuff. Good flop. Mystery hand. What he has? King Jack, maybe. I believe I have seen that. I did a highlight video. Yeah, the King Jack. So that's nice. Do hold. So here's what happened. This guy's all in for less than 1 big blind. We're short. This guy's in for less. Is all in for like nothing. And now it's on us. But like, there's the antes. There's this guy only has 10k. What do you do here?
I'm still folding.
You're folding.
The thing is that the big blind also gets an incredibly good price. Like, too much dead money in the middle. Even if you rip the 188k, there's going to be 288k in the middle, and he just has to call like 140k, so he gets like better than 2-1 pre-flop. So he has to call everything that is better than that has more than 33% equity. So you know, if he has a hand like 10-9 off, he has to call. So yeah, I would just fold, and he seems like a solid regular, so I don't expect him to overfold this spot. If let's say there's a recreational player that has like 200, 250, 300k chips where you can put inflict a lot of damage on his stack, then I really don't mind the jam, because indeed there's a lot of that money in the middle. And with queen high here, I mean, you invest 188k to win 100k, you need less than 30% equity, which you clearly have with queen high against both ranges. So first sight, it might look like a punt, but it's actually pretty good. But again, against a good big blind, I would just fold. And the moment I feel like the big blind is too passive, too weak, I would go for it.
Okay, so I decided I thought just against these two guys, I thought about it. I thought it was close. You know, it's still a fair amount of his chips, but you're right. I think the price is too good. So I decided to go with it. This was one of the ones people were like going a little wild about, but we do go for it, and we actually end up binking. So I don't know, maybe a bit spewy. Maybe that's just not right. Like I guess I should ask, what hand do you think would be good enough? Like queen 7 suited. Like what hand are you gonna shove there?
Yeah, suited queens for sure. Yeah, suited queens, queen 8 off, something along the line of that range.
Okay, well, we got there against the jacks. He woke up with the hand. We binked big time, and that was a very important bink because, yeah, I think we were down to, like, at this point, it looks like this was 2 tables left. So I think there's 16 left. King, queen again. A lot of king, queens, a lot of ace, kings. And again, Turbo Series. We have 700K here.
Yeah, just jam. Wow, no, just jam. You don't want to raise fold this hand. And if you jam them, they're 4 deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, especially from small blind, big blind. Hands like ace 8 off, ace 5 suited, ace 9 suited. But if you raise, they might rejam on you. Oh, now we have the final table.
Final table and aces. Pretty good spot. We get aces the very first hand of the final table. Gonna go ahead and raise the 13 blinds. At what point are you just shoving because it's too short and it looks weaker? Like, do you think it's like, 7 and 6 blinds, you're just shoving like a 10? Like,
yeah.
What point do you think it's...
We can still raise fold here with a hand like ace 10 off or ace 8 suited, which would be too marginal to jam with all the other mid stacks. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we do raise, get the action. We cooler our buddy over here, fire 8175, who wakes up with ace king. So, pretty fast start to the final table. We're sort of middle bottomish of the pack. Okay, getting some hands here at the final table. Queens in the big blind. We have an under the gun raise from this guy, CC Familia. I mean, again, not what else can we really do? I guess could we flat queens or just
Nah, just he could be raise calling with tens and jacks, and then there's going to be ace high, king high board. Definitely want to get the setup for you there.
okay, 2 sevens, and we have 20 bigs. Just jam.
Yeah, just jam. Yeah, especially with the short stack under the gun there.
Okay, next hand, ace queen. Getting some hands at the final table. Decide to raise.
Yeah.
We 3x. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it.
Short stack. Don't really want him to just peel, stop and go us. I guess, it's not the worst result. We'll take ace queen first. Oh, this was the most interesting hand of the final table for me. So queen 9 suited, we get a raise, 22 blind. We're about the exact same stack. So we peel queen 9 suited.
Yeah.
Flop, very good flop for our hand. Queen 10 8, backdoor club draw. We check. He bets.
Yeah, we call.
Call. Turn. I mean, pick up the second nut flush draw, but king jack gets home. We lose to ace jack. I don't know if he like ace king. If he's betting those hands, like this is just a very unfortunate turn in my mind. So I mean, I check. He checks. You fine with that?
Yeah.
I don't think
Looks
there's any really. I
to me.
can't like lead or jam. So
No.
and then on the river, I check and he bets here.
This is a very nasty spot. The problem is it's really hard for him to have any bluffs. Like king 9 suited, maybe. Yeah, I think it's a good fold. You could check jam. His range looks very ace king, ace jack, ace 9, heavy. Maybe a thin value bet with kings or king queen or queen jack. Yeah, we block some of the trapped straights like jack 9. We block ace queen. We block queens, which he might have slow played for some. It's really hard to find the right blockers for this spot. It's just like if you feel like the guy is weak and he's making good laydown here, I think it's a good spot to check jam.
It just feels like ace jack, ace king to me, but I don't know. Like
Jack 10, yeah, Jack 10 would be much better, or King 10 would be much better check jam because we block ace jack, we block ace king. We do not block the queen, which he might snap bet fold. So yeah.
So we do fold, and that was definitely like a So it was a frustrating hand in a big pot at the time. So here we have ace 6 suited. I fold here, and this might just be too tight.
Wow, yeah. That's too tight.
I mean, looking at the stack sizes, though, it's one guy.
Doesn't matter. I mean, you're just bleeding out then if you fold those hands. You got to do something.
Right. That was the one I didn't really like. I just felt like the ICM was so high. But, yeah, the first in, you just pick up the 180, 250, puts you in second. And, there's not so many great spots. So first in, so that would definitely chalk that as a mistake. And
you're still the short stack.
Really no decision. I mean, these guys are 10x our stack. We do get a double up, so I think there's like 2 more hands actually only. So,
Well, this 10-3 off is very, very loose call.
So, there's literally, these are the last 2 hands. So here, this was one I actually wasn't sure about. For 8 blinds, we have a raise and a player who's aggressive. I think maybe being able to lean on this player, like knowing that he, with me, I think maybe I should just go with this.
It's very close indeed. I could go with ace 10 off. But yeah, I don't mind the fold.
So we don't know, but then we get one hand later. I think I was plugging this one. I knew this one was very close as well, but I mean, we have an ace in the small blind. Our risk premium.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't have any fold equity, and then you're basically always flipping. So I would even fold this hand here.
I would actually, maybe prefer the ace 9 going with than the ace deuce off. Like the
exactly.
ace 9, you just have some bluffs, and our hand, like we're getting extra 350 in the middle from the other guy. But I don't know. I mean, at the same time, my risk premium's literally, I have to get moving somewhere, and I decided to take it. The spot. I think this guy's a little more aggressive, and I mean, again though, that's the problem. Like, what are we hoping to do? Even if he has whatever broadways, like 6-7 suited. It's not like our hand plays great.
Yeah.
But we take the spot. I didn't think these guys were fish, and unfortunately we hit our ace, but it wasn't enough. And we get third place for $16,849. So definitely some stuff stood out for me in the video. I mean, the one in particular, ace-6 suited, even though, like, with the ICM, that's just like how wide would you jam there without plugging it in? What would be any ace, any?
Pretty much any ace, yeah. 10 bigs button. I mean, there are just 2 players left. They need to find a better hand.
But now with us being like tied for second and 1 big stack, what happens if there was like 2 guys shorter than us? Maybe fold?
Then it makes it different. Like if they're clearly shorter than you, then you should probably just jam around 20-25% of your hands. It means like suited aces, pairs, maybe something like ace-7, ace-8 off and better. Then of course your range becomes way tighter.
As shown on the screen, this is Raise Your Edge, bencb789 from Raise Your Edge, his whole elaborate online poker course, which has some new improvements as well. And you can see the codes on the overlay here to get a discount if you want to check it out. There is free YouTube, Ben. They can follow you on YouTube. You have a Discord chat as well, and you have Instagram. I mean, you really are a leading in the industry with content, putting out a ton of stuff, great players using it, and a lot of the top streamers as well as Lex, Jamie, Kevin, just to name a few that I know use the program and promote it, and that all use it. And you can see the results. Kevin, Jamie just won a tournament yesterday. Guys definitely playing at a high level and learning very quickly and applying it. So again, great program. Congratulations. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, man.
We'll be in touch
Appreciate
soon.
it. All right. See ya. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that's bencb789 from Raise Your Edge. Check it out. We'll do more of those. I love doing these, and we'll see you guys later.
It was all a dream, and if you don't know